Welcome to the 5th anniversary show of Golf Talk Live. I'm Peter Kessler. We begin with a look at the first of the 279 shows in the Golf Talk Live library, featuring the man who kicks off our every anniversary, Arnold Palmer. Welcome to Golf Talk Live, my friend.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Well, there isn't any place in the world I'd rather be.
I want to wish you a belated happy and healthy New Year, belated happy 40th anniversary with Winnie last month. Congratulations on the birth of the Golf Channel and on your new grandson, William.
Thank you.
Tell me about William.
Well, he's 3 months old. He's hitting it 100 yards. And his mother thinks that she's got to slow him down a little bit. He's going too fast.
Oh, do we have clubs for him already?
Oh, they were made before he was born.
Graphite or steel?
Oh, a little graphite. I don't think he needs them. He's going to be strong enough to bend the steel.
We're going to go ahead and talk to...
But before we do that, you know, Peter, I've been sitting here, you know.
What?
And I'm seeing how uncomfortable you look. I mean, with a tie on.
How do you think everybody felt when they played golf against you?
But you know, when we went to Orlando, I would have probably worn a tie in Orlando. But we're in the NICKLAUS house. Now, you don't know the tradition in the NICKLAUS house, do you?
Not yet.
Well, guys, can I have a little help here? Okay, now, what we do in the NICKLAUS house, Peter, when somebody wears a tie in the house, we just come over like this, and we go right here, and we sort of try to get a pair of scissors to work, and see, right here, now, we say people, this is a casual house, and we have a lot of fun here.
This is why you can never take me anywhere, because you always do something like this.
And see, now you've got something you can take home as a remembrance of our house, but also, we did this 1 year at our Christmas party. I had my president of the company, and I told everybody, it's a casual party.
No, you keep talking.
It's a casual party.
It's not going to work. Unfortunately, I was going to put it on you.
It's a casual party. I said, nobody's to wear a coat and tie. Well, they all show up with coat and ties. So I got the two biggest guys, my son-in-law and my son Jackie, up, and I had them home. I said, okay, guys, this is a party. Off with it. So everybody that's worn a tie from then in on a party has got it snipped off. So that's a tradition in the NICKLAUS house.
Well, I am honored, and I appreciate it very much. And I'll tell you what, I'm a whole lot cooler than I was a couple of minutes ago.
And all your guys are in on it, too.
Thank you very much, because the boss is here. How are you keeping your body speed to the degree that it is today? Are you as fast as you were 20 years ago?
To say you're as fast as you were 30 years ago, I think you'd be a little conceited to say that, but not far off. But I think for me, my ambition now, the only ambition I have left now, is to win in the year 2000, because Sam Snead and I have won in 5 decades. That's official PGA events, official. To do this is going to be very difficult. You've got Tom Watson, Tom Kite, and a host of others coming on the tour. So I've got to start preparing now for the year 2000. And I think it all relates to the body. The diet. I think that's number one. 50% of Americans are obese. 20% of the youth of America are obese. Most countries like South Africa and Australia and England, the same applies. So what I've got to do is make sure that that body is the opposite. So what I do is I'd sit in this position every day for 2-minute intervals, and it looks very easy to sit like that. It's
Not
a burner.
to me.
And you actually talk to yourself mentally and provide that thought that is necessary, patience, not getting irritable, accepting adversity, etc., etc. And then you train yourself to do that. And then, of course, you've got to have the body. And the body's got to have speed, and you've got to keep that up as though like a karate. You know, you've got to have that suppleness. You've got to be able to move the body. Sam Snead could move that body. You've got to do a little bit of dancing, you know, get that thing going, man, like Elvis. Don't step on my blue suede shoes, you know. You've got to keep the body moving. And thirdly, you've got to keep your nerve going, and you've got to live long enough to win in the year 2000.
Well, let me tell you, there's some art about doing this sword. A lot of people...
I've been working on it.
See, you got to put your thumb here when you put it down and try to hold it, because see, if you have it loose, a lot of people break their thumbs. So you got to have that thumb there, and you grab it before he hits.
Got the thumb, Zorro.
And you got to put it forward. See, Trevino puts it here where the bull is going to get him, because he got this sword. The sword goes there. Okay, so now let's do the sword.
Okay, now as we go to break, I'll take Chi-Chi out, and we'll be right back after this. Don't go away.
Golf Talk Live, brought to you by TaylorMade. Find your game. by AT&T Net.Working to make your business succeed. And by Ben Hogan, a feel for your game.
With the AT&T
What about that other story and the beautiful blonde on the tracks, on the platform at Pelham when you used to park the car and take the train into the city?
Yeah, you see, we didn't dare to drive into New York City because you had to go through Harlem, and it was a very dangerous place. So I drive to the railroad station, park my car, and wait for that 8 o'clock train. And I'd walk up and down the platform, and I'd look the girls over. They were chorus girls going in a rehearsal for the Ziegfeld Follies. And I saw one blonde, oh, she was beautiful. And I kept looking at her, but she didn't give me a tumble. So just mind, it's 1922 or 1920, 1980, I'm out in Palm Springs, Florida, playing in the senior tournament, and I'm coming up the 18th fairway, and a fellow comes around the fairway, says, there's a woman up the clubhouse wants to see you. I says, what woman wants to see an 81-year-old man? So I went up there, and she came out, and I shook hands, and she says, you remember me? I looked her over. I couldn't quite place her. She said, you remember that blonde you used to flirt with on the Pelham platform? Yeah, he says, that's me. She says, she shook hands, she says, I'm Mrs. Bob Hope.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable is right.
Now, didn't you once, if I got this right, didn't you play with just your left hand 3 rounds in 1945 or 1946, I think at the Homestead, and shot 83, 82, 81, and included a hole-in-one with a 3-iron?
Right.
Did you do that on a bet?
Well, I tell you, I was nursing right wrist. I'd split the radius, and I just had a bandage around my wrist. The doctor said if you put it in a cast, you could get a spur, and that wouldn't be good. And you'd want a little mobility.
Sure.
And this man, I just finished practicing playing with driver. Matter of fact, was my hardest to play, was the driver. It should have been the easiest, but it wasn't. And I just got through, and I came down to the shop, and the man came in, and he said, is a pro round? And I'd like to play a lesson or just play around the golf. And no, they were out playing. And he said, gee, I'd like to play. And I said, would you mind playing with the one-arm man? He said, oh, gee, one-arm man. And I said, what do you shoot? He says, about 85 to 90. Well, I think maybe I might be able to give you a game. I said, I'm just playing. I introduced myself as Sam, and he was Bill. And when we got to the 6th hole, that's where I had the hole-in-one with the 3-iron. He hit a 4-iron. I hit a 3-iron, and he threw his 4-iron almost to the green. He said, a 1-iron man beating the hell out of me.
You had to realize, Peter, that you had to ride on a boat to go to England when I was playing. And you had to take a leave of absence for a month. I played the British Open and finished 4th at Carnoustie in 1937 when I went over on the Ryder Cup team. But I still had to take a leave of absence. Actually, I finished 4th, and I won $187. And I had to take leave of absence from the club, and I won $187. I got home, and I figured out they'd cost me $3,000, and I didn't like to ride boats anyway, so I'm not going back.
Were you ever more proud of a golf shot than the one that you hit over the ditch on the very first hole when you were a little boy on vacation in Colorado so that you could prove yourself to the pro that you were good enough to play?
Well, back in those times, well, it really wasn't back in those times, but the whole idea was that I was 6 years old, and I was going to go out and play in this golf course, and the starter looked at me, and a starter pro, and he said, he's too young to play. And my dad made a bargain with him. He bargained and said, well, if he can knock it over that ditch, which I think was about, you know, it's gotten longer and longer. But it's got, I think it was about a 50-yard carry or something like that. And he said, if he can knock it over that ditch in the air, can he play? And the pro looked at him, looked at me, said, sure, knowing that I couldn't do it. And Dad came over to me and said, son, this is the deal. And I teed that thing up there and knocked it right over the ditch. Dad said I hit it about, I don't remember the shot, but I hit it about 120 yards. And I got a chance to play.
How tough was it at Muirfield the first time on 18, the last day, to trust your new golf swing?
Yeah, that was when all the work we've laid over really went out the window. It was like it was like on automatic now, and I stood over that thing and you know, Bash belted a 5-iron because it really was a 4-iron, but I just couldn't trust hitting the half shot, so I just stood up and hit that thing. But I remember getting over it, and it was all happening so quickly, and I thought, just take it away slow. That was like my last words to myself, and I got it away, and it was just like, you know, slow motion. You know, you sort of hit the thing, and I remember seeing this thing go out against the grey sky. I thought, cool. You know, I honestly did. I went, cool. And I was unlucky. You see how it bounced, because that thing should have gone forward, you know, but it came in and left me like a, you know, 40 foot, which I had to 2-putt. So it was, yeah, that was very nerve-wracking.
What do you think happens to you under pressure when everything goes wrong? What goes on with Greg Norman?
No, maybe I get a little bit ahead of myself. You know, I've got to say, I'm an extremely confident individual. And sometimes having the confidence, you feel like you can bail yourself out of trouble whenever you get into trouble. 96 Masters, that's probably where I screwed up the most. If I'm going to blame anybody, I'm going to purely blame myself for the 96 Masters. Is where I felt so very good and so very relaxed right up until the first tee. I never anticipated that going to happen that day. And as the day started to evolve, the more I started to let it slip. The more I started to let it slip, the more I was fighting myself. And so as the day went on, I've got this internal battle going on which I had never experienced before on a golf course in my life. One half of me is tearing me this way and the other half of me is tearing me that way. And I kept fighting myself. I kept fighting and questioning, fighting. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're crazy? Why don't you just relax and just go play golf? What, you know? And it was just an amazing sequence of events for basically for the last 11 holes.
When your dad got a call from you when you had gone out to the Queen Mary Open in between your junior and senior year at college, and there were no more amateur spots, and you said, well, could I play as a pro? And they said, if you say you're one, you do. And then, of course, you played great, you won a bunch of money, you called your dad and he hung up on you?
Basically, yeah. And, you know, there's a great story that Mark O'Meara had just turned pro that week, too, and so I called him up and I said, Dad, you know, I just finished a shot ahead of Mark O'Meara, and before I could tell him, I think I made $2,800, he had hung up. And I called back and talked to my mom and explained it to her, and I didn't want to go back to school. I'd done it 3 years. We had great guys on the team. Jim Nance was there, Blaine McAllister, John Horn, Ray Barr. It was a lot of fun, but I was not into the school part. I loved golf, played every day, but the schooling just seemed, I just fell so far behind that I just didn't feel like doing it one more year, and the Queen Mary was there, so I turned pro.
I want you to talk over this next shot. This is, as we go to break, this is you and Dave Pelz, and you've got your lob wedge in your hand, and he is crazy enough to be standing what looks like about 4 feet in front of you.
Has this aired on the Golf Channel Academy?
It did once, yes.
Yeah, no, here I'm just going to take a full swing and just get it up quick, I hope. And basically I'm just hitting down behind the ball and having the bounce of the club go from underneath the ball, popping up into the ball, which is how I get it to go vertical.
Are you trying to, is it a little bit like a bunker shot where you're entering the grass a little behind the ball?
Close, but from a bunker shot, it's a little shallower. This is a little steeper.
We'll be right back. What is it about John Daly that you haven't liked very much? What is there about you that you shouldn't like?
I don't know. I've got a wonderful mom and dad. I never listened to them. I wish I would have. I probably wouldn't have been in the situations that I put myself in. But I don't know. Stubbornness is one of my biggest things. I'm a very stubborn person. You tell me I can't do something, well, by God, I'm going to prove you wrong. You know, stuff like that. Whether it was good or bad. You tell me I can't hit a par 5 and 2, I'm going to find a way to try and hit it in 2, and that's the way I've lived life, and I don't need to do that anymore. I need to listen to the people that I'm associated with now. My life is all about change now. Some of it I'm going to hate, and some of it I'm going to love, but I know the change in my life now is for the better, it's for the positive, and it's to keep myself sober for one, day to day, watch what I eat. And it's very difficult right now because I'm so competitive. I do care if I shoot 80. It makes me so mad, you know, it drives me crazy.
Good.
But that's the competitiveness in all the players out here.
We hate to see you've got that fire going.
Well, I got it going, but my golf game's not quite there, and I've got to allow myself to say, hey, just don't worry about it right now. You know, it's a big tournament. But the most important thing is living one day at a time so I can get up the next day.
I accept the fact that I'm different than most people. You know, alcohol has a different effect on me, and I can't drink, and I accept that. I accept the fact that if I was to still be out there drinking, I don't think that I'd be alive or sitting here in this chair today. I also accept the fact that if I do end up relapsing and going back out there, I don't think I will be alive for 6 months.
We'll go ahead and talk to young Raymond, who's calling from New York. Hello, Raymond.
Hi, Mr. Kessler.
You make me feel very old, Raymond.
Miss Myers?
Yes.
I just wanted to tell you, I'm 13, and last year, a lot of things weren't going very well for me, and I considered taking my own life, too. And I just want to tell everyone who's, like, thinking about that, too, that things can and will get much better, and that my family supported me a lot. So, I mean, I know what that feels like, and it's a very horrible thing that someone should have to go through.
Raymond, I'm so glad you called, and I'm so glad you're here with us, and you chose the right way not to take your life. You have to look at your family who's supporting you now. They would be so lost without you. And it's very courageous of you to speak up about this now. And if you can help any of your friends, you're at a very critical age, and you have a lot of friends who are probably in the same position now or will be that you were. Please continue to speak up about it. You've been my best phone call tonight.
Didn't you, on the Saturday morning before you left your hotel room, the Saturday morning of the double round, the final 36 holes, actually hear a voice come out of your mirror in the bathroom and say to you, you're going to win the U.S. Open, Jack Fleck?
Yes, Peter, that did happen. And it came out and it said, Jack, you're going to win the Open. And I looked around and got goosebumps, and I knew there was nobody in the room. But as I turned to shave again, it came out the second time. But I don't think that had direct effect. When I went out to play golf on that playoff, I'm sure that the spiritual guidance was there, see, but I didn't keep that in my mind. I was not aware when I was playing what came out of that mirror.
Let me tell you something, Peter. You can be materially very, very rich, but you can be spiritually very, very poor. And to me, Mother Teresa was my idol, and she never had anything. But she had everything. I think she was the richest person in the world.
You say that God picked you to spread a message. What specific message have you been chosen to spread?
Well, I don't talk much about it because people think you're crazy when you talk about God. But I've seen him a couple times. I spoke with him.
What did he say?
He picked me.
What does he want you to do?
I can't talk about it too much because I break down.
Tell me a little bit.
He told me he picked me to do his work.
What is God's work, Cheech? What is his work? What does he want you to do?
All good things for everybody.
You crying because you're happy about it, or because you feel that you haven't done it?
I don't know why I cry.
And I'm not sure that it matters, as long as you feel, right?
Every time I talk about it, I cry.
Pro. I needed all the help I could get. That's why I switched to Strata from a wound ball. And you know what? I'm starting to have success on tour, including my first win as a pro. Strata is a multi-layer ball that's longer off the tee than a wound ball, incredibly accurate off the irons, and your putts will stay on line. If Strata helped me be a better player on tour, I bet it can shave a couple strokes off your game. Switch to Strata and lower your scores.
They seem a little out there, killing off long irons, making an entire category of clubs obsolete. Touring pros ditching the old standby for some ironwood hybrid. Sounds kind of irrational. Nah, irrational is trying to work a draw with a 2-iron. The Rescue Club from TaylorMade.
Tiger Woods doesn't feel compelled to share his goals with the rest of the world, and that's fine. We knew, however, that he hoped to make an indelible tiger print at the Mercedes Championship at La Costa. However, several questions remain unanswered. Why did Tiger need a 3-wood to hit the par 5 17th in 2 shots, when 21 years before, Peter Kessler needed just a 3-iron second to the same hole, which was the 35th of that year's La Costa Club Championship? Oh, by the way, Kessler made his eagle putt. Why did Woods require a playoff to win when Kessler handled his foe in regulation? Why was Woods unable to hold his simple 190-yard 6-iron in the playoff? Now, we don't want to rattle Tiger's cage here, but Kessler has rejoined the competitive scene after a 2-decade absence and picked up right where he left off.
He's got a chance. Oh, Peter Kessler.
Now, do you think Tiger has this dance in his repertoire? We think not. Woods is waiting to release his 1997 schedule until Kessler unveils his. Well, well, well. Has the Tiger become a pussycat?
You're the host, Tiger.
Oh, am I? All right. Welcome back to Golf Talk Live, and here we are keeping it real. This is, as you know, Butch Harmon, and that's
Bobby Jones,
the old Geraldo Rivera. But yeah, where are you? No, these. I don't know whether you've ever seen cataracts. I've got the wrong camera again. I keep going to camera. I like number 2, but I think I'll look at this one here. This one looks better.
Very nice choice.
Good choice. Good choice.
Now I understand why that's the driver that your wife found you in bed with. You slept with that club, didn't you? Tell the truth.
Well, I tell you one thing, I got into a lot of trouble with that driver, saying if I had to choose between my wife and that driver, what a fool I was.
Same situation that happened at Houston with Scott Hope. Same situation that happened at a Memorial with Paul. You know, here I am. I've got a 1-shot lead playing the last hole. I've hit it, you know, and I don't need to see this again. Miss! Oh, it went in again. I can't believe it.
I want to know if this is true, and Ken could probably help me confirm this, that when Colin Montgomery came back from playing in the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach in '92, that he, of course, announced himself as one of Europe's Big Six. Were you the guy who arranged the note from the 5 fattest guys on the European tour that was in his locker that says, "Welcome to the Big Six"?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
You know, my partner, who was staying in a room next to us, kept knocking on the door and saying, "Hey,
Now, is it number 2 slack today, or number 4 shirt, or what sport coat? And one time we actually, on Saturday when we were playing in the morning, I looked down and I said, hey bud, you got the wrong slacks on today. This is not navy. We're supposed to wear navy blue. See these pants I have on? He says, yes. I said, look, yours got checks on them. He said,
Hey,
well,
man, they were blue.
Did you have another question, Michael?
More importantly, do you have a boyfriend? Because you're adorable.
No, I don't have a boyfriend, Michael.
Thank you very much. If you're ever in Maryland, you have a date.
Oh, thank you.
Andy from Texas, you're on Golf Talk Live.
How you doing, Peter? How you doing, Jan?
Hi.
I just want to tell you, you're really beautiful.
Oh,
thank you.
You know what I heard the other day, Tiger? That Peter knows so much that he not only knows the name of the unknown soldier, he said he knew the guy. I don't know if that's true. That's what he said.
This is it right here.
That thing looks like a vacuum cleaner.
Get in there, baby. Center cut. All right. See the pause? I thought of
Yes,
Brian. I'm doing it anyway.
You
So
did that.
I tell you one thing. You haven't seen me do it since, because that fine was only $250, a minor fine. The next fine will be $1,000 and a suspension, and you ain't seen me do that since that a year ago.
That happened not to be true, because you did it right here, live, about 5 minutes ago, and I am going to fine you, and we have a place where you can leave the check.
He has the loveliest looking languid tempo swing I think maybe I've ever seen, and he's got that marvelous insouciance, you know.
You were going to say something about insouciance too, right? Yeah.
Wait a minute. Tell me about Roger's. I looked that up.
One day I was in the office, and nobody was there. They were all at the lunch, but Howard came in and he walked up, and without any preliminaries, he said, Jimmy McKay, always called me Jimmy. He said, you are a very knowledgeable, albeit diminutive man. I said, so I'm short, Howard. I said, you wear a wig. I don't talk to you about that.
Well, I heard it was your birthday tomorrow, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to sing you a little Swedish birthday song.
I would like that.
Med en enkel tulipan på bemärkelsedagen har jag äran att gratulera. Cheers.
Cheers.
Maybe I should have been drinking.
Funny, I haven't heard that song for a couple of days.
I think at this stage of my life, you know, he shouldn't really take advantage of me, because on the par 5s, he gets up and says, I want to quadruple press you. I'm going to put 5 presses on you on the par 5. And I said, hey, wait a minute. You know what? No. I should be getting a half a shot to at least a full shot on the par 5, because you're hitting it 60 yards by me. I said, no, what do you think? I just fell off the turnip truck? Sorry.
Would you be kind enough to look right in that camera and tell everybody we're going to take a short break? We'll be right back with some more Golf Talk Live.
We're going to take a short break now. We'll be back to make talk some more golf live. You know?
I'm not letting you host the show again.
Oh,
That's it.
Before you choose a vacation,
We have Mark from Naples on the phone. Hello, Mark.
How you doing, Peter?
Good.
Great
How you
show.
doing? Thank you.
Hey, listen, I need to ask Payne, does the name Nick Knickers ring a bell?
Nick Knickers, that's definitely a name out of the past. That's
Now, come on, man. You got to be feeling like Nick Knickers now. We got to get the band back together. It's been killing
the band. You're talking about getting the band back. Jake Trout and the Flounders.
Yeah, man, I had a dream. It was unbelievable. That's all I've been able to think about.
The
You got to
band.
help me out, man. Say
Loft
you'll do
and
it, Payne.
Light. Jake Trout and the Flounders.
That's it. That's
Nick
it.
Knickers.
Are you in? Come on, Payne. You got to do it.
I think that we're going to have to get the band back together.
You think so?
I think we can get the band back together.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
Saw a player with a golf club in his hand just the other day. He was looking over his shot. He was deep down in the hay. He took a big swing, got it way up in the air. When that sucker landed, he just knew it wasn't fair. Oh, square grooves are going. Oh.
Not every moment is as silly or light as Jake Trout and the Flounders. While golf has few major issues, there are still topics that arouse passion.
To be honest with you, when that putt topped that hill, that putt was going to go 8 feet by minimum. And we were all like, please hit the hole, please hit the hole. And when the putt went in, everybody lost the presence of mind of what was going on. And to be honest with you, we were all overwhelmed with the fact that it had gone in. I'm not sure half the people probably didn't even realize that that wasn't the end. And everybody ran out. I realized it wasn't the end, but I was in a catch-22 position. There went my whole team out to congratulate him. And if I sit back there on the back of the green, then it looks like I'm sore about something, you know. So, you know, I wish everybody could get past that point. There was no ill intent involved in that. I mean, Tom Lehman said that about as well as he could. Look, I am sorry that that happened, but at the same time, we were overwhelmed with joy. I mean, you know, we were so far down, and for us all to pull together and to pull together as a team like we did, and it showed, you know, everybody had talked about the Americans could not pull together as a team. I mean, that was the one moment that proved everybody wrong, that we had pulled together as a team.
It's going to take the USGA. It's going to take the PGA. It's going to take these clubs that are around this country today to bring the caddy programs back to these clubs.
No caddies
All
anymore.
this mandatory golf cart business. If it was up to me, I'd blow up every golf cart I could find. Believe me, I'd love to get me an 18-wheeler and run over all these golf carts. I am not an avid cart man. Never have been. I'm not an avid of a cart man on the senior tour. I'm not an avid when I play golf. I think you can play golf faster. But the problem is they're building these golf courses today to where the tee from the green is 200 yards through past 14 7-Elevens and one Target, and then you get to the next tee. So you do need some transportation to get to the next tee. But to play the hole, and then they put in all these lakes and everything in front of the tees. You got to walk around. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. Golf has got to get back to its roots. It's got to get back to where these caddies and these kids can go out and learn this game.
If I had done what I had done and I was a man, I'd be a zillionaire and I wouldn't be able to go anyplace. And, you know, that would be a little bit difficult to deal with. But it's kind of nice to be able to go to dinner and not have people bug you. And it's kind of nice to walk down the airport terminal and not have people, you know, clamoring all over you. So in one respect, it's been good. But in another respect, I don't feel that we've gotten, you know, what's due to us. And I think we've worked very hard and we deserve a little bit more than what we've gotten. But my hopes for the future is that, and it probably won't entail being involved because I'll be older, but, you know, I think that in the future, women's golf is going to come to the party. I think that we will see superstars. I think you'll see multi-millionaire players, and you know, it'll happen, but it won't be the next couple of years.
You had to deal with hecklers and people actively wishing you to do poorly. How did you shut that part of it out when you were a professional in the early days?
Well, I had, when I first went out to be a professional golfer, I had 5 or 6 people that I promised that I wouldn't back down. And I asked Jackie Robinson about, when I went to go into golf, I asked him about what should I do. So he asked me, was I a quitter? So I told him no. He said, well, are you a violent man? So I said no. He said, well, now, if you're not a quitter and you can take it, you go ahead and play. But if you're a quitter and you can't take the heat, don't bother with it because you're going to run into some very serious things out on the golf course.
In 1994, in Southern California, I was kicked off a golf club because of my color of my skin.
Now, you're not referring to the driving range incident, are you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Well, tell people what happened a little bit.
A little bit. Just real briefly, I was hitting balls, and Army guys were hitting balls as well, and they were hitting the ball in the house. I was actually going the opposite direction. And this guy phoned in the pro and said, yeah, this, I hate to use it, but this little nigger was hitting balls at my house. And the pro comes screaming out there, accusing me of doing this. I said, hey, I'm not that bad a player. I'm firing opposite direction. How am I going to hit the ball straight over here to my left when it's behind me? And if you're that stupid, it'll open your eyes, bud. And yeah, that incident was pretty tough because it's as late as 1994, and people think that it has changed, and it really hasn't.
What would your policy be? What is your policy if, for example, you're invited to play golf at a club, nothing to do with a tour event now, just playing a social round of golf, where you know that they've admitted a black man, a Jewish man, somebody, but as a token, not a real entrance, no open arms, but a token invitation. Do you go play?
You know, yes, I do, because it's a start. You got to start somewhere, and that is a groundbreaking point, and you got to move on from there. And I think by either myself playing, who is a minority, or someone else, maybe we can influence these people's perspectives on life and have them open their eyes to the 90s.
Your hips instead. To straighten your slice, practice swinging above the ball. Now, lower your score.
Who's going to be the first DUVAL to bring a trophy from the PGA Tour into the house?
That's a hard question. I mean, I was close last week in Pittsburgh, or the week before, and I left one on the lip. I don't know how it stayed out still, but I think David's going to be. I hope he is. I need one more than he does, but I'd like to see him make it first.
Now, when you say need, are you talking about financially or for your head?
No, for to stay exempt on the senior tour. You know how hard it is to stay out here.
It's a pretty closed shop.
You got that right.
I'd like to disagree with my father right now. I agree with he needs it more than I do, and if I had to choose, I'd choose for him to win. It's very important to me, but he needs it more than I do right now. You know, I know what I'm doing next year. You know, I'm going to have another full year of opportunities. So I'd like for him to have the chance at least next year.
Did you feel like life was unfair, that your mom died before she got to see the Nancy Lopez that the rest of us know and love?
I think she sees me anyway. I think she sees me all the time. But I know when she passed away, I had finished second three times. And she was funny because my dad was really happy that I finished second 3 times. My mom was a little tougher, like, well, why can't you win? She asked me. And but that's how Mom was. She didn't understand the competitiveness of golf like my dad did.
It's been very difficult this year. I was coming along nicely, and you know, March, April, May were really looking good for me and for Squeak. And then, you know, he just took such a bad turn toward the end. And not for 1 minute through the whole time of his illness did I ever doubt that he was going to be back on the bag. I always felt that he was going to be back, even if it wasn't full time. You know, I was positive enough, and I tried to keep everyone around me positive that, you know, he was going to be back. And, you know, the last 4 or 5 days, he went very, very quickly, which it was very, very hard. And, you know, I guess the fire went out of my belly for a while is the best way to put it, because, you know, I've got a young family, as you mentioned, and it was very, very difficult to go out and practice and know that, you know, you're not going to have one of your best friends and someone who you've shared so many wonderful moments with. I mean, you know, there were only 2 of us that went through those times together. And now it's only me to remember those times on the golf course. Obviously, my wife and David Ledbetter and other friends shared those times with me. But, you know, when there was the guts of the situation, Squeak was there with me. And I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him an awful lot, and I miss him now.
Tell me about the checklist for life and golf that your dad left, really with your wife to check on you.
Well, he wrote he wrote this, I guess it was a lesson that he gave to Tracy, unbeknownst to me, about for her to watch when I was out practicing. It said, you know, watch his feet and on his 7, 8, and 9 iron pitching wedge. He never wanted to see the club, never wanted to see the face shut. You know, always keep the face open going through, because he wanted the shot to kind of fall a little bit from left to right. And just, it was a slight little checklist, and one, it's kind of emotional, but for our anniversary one year, my wife had it framed and gave it to me, and it now sits in my golf room where I work on my clubs.
What a neat thing to be able to see, as much as you obviously still miss your dad.
I wish he'd, wish he could have seen some of the things that I've done.
He'd have been awfully proud, wouldn't he?
I think so.
My dad just wanted me to be successful at something. And then when I went on tour, I'll never forget, he shook my hand. He said, "Bob, I can't give you any money, but I'll give you my heart."
He got to see what all fathers, I suppose, wish and hope for, and that you do as a father now, is to see your children grow up healthy, grow up successful, and see their dreams come true. He got to see all of that for you, didn't he?
Oh, there's no question about it. I could, I could never replace my dad. No way.
How did your dad deal with the loss of your older brother?
Well, my older brother, he was a fishing nut, and he just loved fishing. I do too, by the way. And when he was 15, he was fishing there by the Cliff House in San Francisco. And one of those big sleeper waves, we call them, out west, knocked him off the rock. And he was a good swimmer, Boy Scout, and he was with his 2 best friends, but it swept him away. And it was really hard for me, you know. I was at the time, was about 10 years old and 11 years old, and it just was really tough because we didn't find him for 17 days after he was drowned. And yeah, it made me realize at a young age how fragile things were, and I still miss him. A lot of times when I'm out there fly fishing, I wish I was with him, but just, you know, maybe it was good for me in some ways, and he was a good boy, and I still think about him a lot.
What'd you learn different about your buddy Zinger while he was sick?
It put a different perspective on my life. I know it definitely put a different perspective on his life. All of a sudden, you know, golf isn't everything in my life. I mean, I have a beautiful family. I have a wonderful wife and 2 lovely children. And if on the way home, something would happen and I can't play golf again, hey, I've had a wonderful career, but I want to be able to spend the rest of my life with my family and raise them the best that I can and give them all the love that I can. And that's one thing that Paul taught me, that, you know, golf isn't everything. And when you're all of a sudden you have to look at life as, you know, God's going to call us home sometime. And Paul thought he was going to be called home early, and it didn't work out like that, which thank God for that. You know, God decided Paul needed to spend a little more time down here with us because he's got some more better things to do. But hey, you know, I'm going to a special place when I die, but I want to make sure that my life's special while I'm here. And when I'm done here, then my time's done.
Golf Talk Live.
The behavior of golfers and what they put in front of the public is absolutely important to the future of the game, to the future of everything that all of us have worked so very hard for. And I've worked with the United States Golf Association, I've worked with Tim Fincham, the PGA Tour, and I continue to do that and will continue to do that if I feel like I can help them and help with the conduct of the players and make them realize how important it is to conduct themselves in the proper manners. And I must say, Peter, in all sincerity, that the golfers have been pretty good. You know, we criticize a little bit, and we tell them that they have to behave themselves and they have to do this and that. But you see, we don't have a lot of incidents where we make headlines like maybe some other sports are making headlines around the world for their conduct. I think the golfers generally are very good, and I would like to say to them thank you for the conduct that they have put on, and I just hope that it can continue and get better as time goes on.
We close with a look at the guests who've graced our show with their presence. Thanks for being with us. For Golf Talk Live, I'm Peter Kessler. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight. I think